Hey everyone, welcome back, or if it's your first time watching the channel, welcome aboard. Last time I finished up the rear end with Raptor liner, and it looks even better now that it's fully cured. Now I've began the process of rebuilding a custom exhaust system because these factory manifold and catalytic converter assemblies hang down too far and interfere with the new suspension. So, to gain more clearance, I've got these JBA headers. They're obviously much shorter, and I will be using these instead of the factory exhaust manifolds and cat assemblies. Now, if you ever get the idea that you want to put headers on your 4-liter V6 Toyota, keep in mind that these headers are extremely year-specific. So on FJ Cruisers, they're different from 07 to 09 than they are from 10 to 12 than they are from 13 to 14. And I can only imagine that there's a lot of changes in Tacomas and 4Runners as well. So if you want to put headers on your Toyota, keep that in mind. Be careful what you order. In fact, I think JBA has even stopped making these, and this is the only set of headers for my 2010 FJ Cruiser that I could find anywhere in the whole country. So it's not a super complex exhaust system. I'll try to give you an idea of what my plan is. So here I'm at the rear of the vehicle, as you can see. There's the rear drive shaft. I'm gonna put a muffler right about here. I've got one hanger I didn't chop off right here, which is good. I'm glad I didn't cut that off. That'll probably come in handy. This is the passenger side, and so up there you can see the engine, transmission. The exhaust will come down from that side and come straight back here, right through here to the muffler. So this side is pretty simple. Over on the driver's side, the exhaust has got to come down and go back, and then kind of has to work around the drive shaft here, get low enough to get around the drive shaft, and then cut over between the transmission and the Atlas transfer case, cut under here, and then join the exhaust on this side back to the muffler. So really the hardest part of this whole thing is going to be negotiating the drive shaft and then getting across to the other side. Now I do have these segments of the factory exhaust system, which I think could be really handy to scavenge if I was able to cut it off like right here, use the crossover, and then cut this one off right about here and use the collector. That makes it really easy to get it all the way back to the muffler. So hopefully I can scavenge and make use of these old parts. So here's what I'm left with. I know that I'm going to be able to use some of this over here and that the collector, and that's good because that would be hard to make. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to be able to use. The V pattern of this crossover just isn't quite wide enough to take in this drive shaft and the transmission and transfer case. So that's why I think it might not be incredibly useful. But maybe I'll be able to make use of this nice flange because that would be great. So I went and picked up some of this pre-bent stuff from the auto parts store, but I'm not going to be able to make that work with this drive shaft. A 45 doesn't work, and a 90's too sharp. So fortunately, there's this nice shop in town, and they custom bent me this piece of exhaust, and I think I'll be able to make this work. So this is with the drive shaft as high up as it goes. You can see I'm at full bump. And I've got plenty of clearance under here with this one. And then it comes out on that side. And then I'll be able to connect it over here. All right, so with that tacked into place and the drive shaft in its highest position, I've got a solid 1/4 inch of clearance up here. So Looking good on the driver's side. All right, so as I mentioned in my last video, at least I think I did, the passenger side is going to be significantly easier. I can just take my prefabricated 45, plug that in right there, and then take a length of straight pipe and just plug it in right there, and boom, easy. And that's just gonna head straight back to the muffler where it's gonna be, right about here. But actually, I take a little bit of that back. This is pointing down quite a bit still, so I'm gonna have to take it to that shop and get a slight bend put right in the middle of this pipe so that it's pointing up more straight toward the back. Not a big deal. And of course, I'll have to cut this off my old junction pipe here, cut that to the right length, and then have my crossover come over from the driver's side and meet up with that, and then that'll go straight back. No big deal. All right, so I went and got this bent. You can see this slight bend up now, and that sits in there real nice. The crossover is obviously going to be the biggest challenge here, so I'm going to take my old crossover pipe, and I think I'm going to cut it like right here and see what I can make out of that. So here's the piece I chopped off, and as you can see, that should work pretty well. This end, of course, is a bit of an odd size, so I got this adapter that I'll weld on there, and that'll give me a nice 2-inch hole. There we go, much better. So this will essentially be my crossover. I'm going to have to shorten this quite a bit, but that's basically it. Switching gears a little bit, this is the passenger side header right here. This part is all welded together and fits up easily as one piece into place, so that's no big deal. Now here's my upstream O2 sensor right here, and I'm going to put my downstream O2 sensor right there, and of course there aren't any threads there, so I've got these O2 sensor bungs, so it's the threads. So I'm going to drill a hole in here. It's going to be a 1-inch hole, and then weld that into place so that I've got a spot for my downstream O2 sensor. Alright guys, so I've got my O2 sensors, both of them in here, so that's great. I also just did some fiberglass wrap around the top of the header there, just to mitigate some of the heat that's going to be coming off of this thing. There's some brake lines close by, and maybe a couple other things up here, but just for good measure, just to take some of the heat off of everything up there, I put that on there, and yeah, this thing is welded up, sensors on, wrapped up. This header is ready to bolt onto the engine. Alright guys, here's what the passenger side looks like from down below. Got my sensors in there. Looks like it's straight from the factory. So now it's the driver's side's turn. I'll get the O2 sensors in here. I've got my spot for the bung marked. I'll drill that out to 1 inch. And then I'll do some wrapping. I'm also going to do some wrapping down here because there's brake and fuel lines that are pretty close to this. They do have the factory heat shield in place, but why not throw a little more protection on there? And just like that, through the magic of YouTube, there you have it. 2 sensors. It's all wrapped up to protect sensitive things under there. The driver's side actually has the steering shaft down by the header, so I think it's probably important to keep some of that heat off of there, as well as that brake line. So I'll stick this under the FJ and we'll go from there. All right, guys, another shot from down below. Sorry, it's gotten really dark, so I'm using a flashlight. It creates a lot of shadows, but at least you can see. So you can see the two sensors there and how it's all wrapped up, protecting things. Hopefully that stuff mitigates the heat pretty well. Here's my crossover. This is still tacked together, but that's basically how it's going to work. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. I'm going to clamp this right here. This will be my separation point, so that this will be the point that's not welded, where I can disassemble it. So that's what that looks like. So I've been told, and I suspect, that this exhaust is going to be a lot louder than stock. And, you know, I'm not a huge fan of growly V6 exhaust myself, but it is what it is. I have this muffler right here. It's a thrush welded muffler. It's kind of a small form factor. And again, this is not going to contribute to a very quiet exhaust, but it's the size that I needed and it'll do the job. And as I pointed out before, the muffler is going to go right here. I'm going to hang it from this hanger right here, and I need to fab up a hanger coming off the frame, and I'm going to use this hanger right here to hang this 2.5-inch piece of exhaust, which is going to connect to the muffler. So it should be pretty stable and held up well with these two hangers. But you're gonna have to wait until Monday to see that, because it's late Wednesday night and I need to get a video out for you on Thursday. I tell you what, YouTube is a slave driver. Anyways, yeah, I'll wrap up the exhaust and I will show you the finished product on Monday and whatever else I'm gonna get into next. There's a bunch of little things I'm doing right now, so we'll just have to wait and see what I have in store for you on Monday. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe if you haven't, so I can join you every Monday and Thursday with new content. And we'll see you next time, guys.